Hello there, my name is Musical, and welcome to this sleep hypnosis audio. This audio is specially designed for you to listen to promote deep relaxation and sleep. So please, do not listen to this audio if you are operating heavy machinery, driving, or performing any other task that requires your full, undivided attention. For this audio, I will be reading the stories of the constellations and the legends for how those constellations came to be. Before we start this audio, I would like you to just relax. Allow yourself to find a comfortable position, laying down, sitting in a chair, whatever it is you're doing. Just relax. Let the bed or the chair take the full weight of your body. Take a deep breath in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2. Breathe out through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeat this. Breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2. Breathe out through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. And one more time. Breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2. Breathe out through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. And relax. Allow your eyes to close slowly and feel your body start to grow heavy as you lay or sit in a comfortable position. And slowly open your eyes and look up, 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 up. Roll your eyes but leave your head completely still to look up all the way. And close your eyes slowly, slowly, until they close, and allow your eyes to return to a resting position. And slowly open your eyes again and look all the way to your left. Look left, left, left as far as you can, and allow your eyes to slowly, slowly, slowly close and return to a neutral resting position. And one more time, open your eyes and look all the way to your right, all the way right, 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 and slower than ever before, allow your eyes to close slow, 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 closed, and return to a neutral resting position. And now you should feel relaxed and at peace. If you hear any mundane, everyday sounds like telephones ringing or car alarms, you will simply ignore them, and you will rest. But if you hear alarm bells or anything that sounds like danger, you will instantly awaken and be able to respond accordingly. And relax. And now I shall read the stories of the constellations, starting with Andromeda, the Chained Lady. Cassiopeia, Andromeda's mother, boasted that she was the most beautiful person in the world, even more beautiful than the gods. Poseidon, the brother of Zeus and the god of the seas, took great offense at that statement, for he had created the most beautiful beings ever in the form of his sea nymphs. In his anger, he created a great sea monster, Cetus, pictured as a whale, to ravage the seas and the sea coast. Since Cassiopeia would not recant her claim of beauty, it was decreed that she must sacrifice her only daughter, the beautiful Andromeda, to this sea monster. So, Andromeda was chained to a large rock projecting out into the sea, and was left there to await the arrival of the great sea monster Cetus. As Cetus approached Andromeda, Perseus arrived, some say on the winged sandals given to him by Hermes. He had just killed the Gorgon Medusa, and was carrying her severed head in a special bag. When Perseus saw the beautiful maiden in distress, like a true champion, he went to her aid. Facing the terrible sea monster, he drew the head of Medusa from the bag and held it so that the sea monster would see it. Immediately, the sea monster turned to stone. Perseus then freed the beautiful Andromeda, and claiming her as his bride, took her with him as his queen to rule. Aquarius, the water-bearer. The name most often associated with the constellation Aquarius is that of Ganymede, son of Tros, king of Troy. Ganymede was an extremely handsome young man, the most handsome the gods and goddesses had ever seen. While attending to his father's flocks on Mount Ida, Ganymede caught the attention of Zeus. Zeus sent his messenger eagle, Aquila, down to earth with instructions to bring Ganymede back up to Mount Olympus. On Mount Olympus, Ganymede served the gods by bringing them water whenever they needed it. He also served as a cup-bearer to Zeus. He was honored for his service by Zeus, who placed a constellation called Aquarius, which means water carrier, among the stars. Aquila the Eagle. In Greek mythology, the eagle was associated with Zeus, either as a servant who carried Zeus's messages down to humans on Earth, or as a disguise taken by Zeus in order to avoid his wife Hera when he was up to some mischief. One story of Aquila's service to Zeus was that of Ganymede, who was a very gentle, kind shepherd, and the most handsome mortal the gods and goddesses had ever seen. One day, the great eagle Aquila swooped down from the sky, and landing near a startled Ganymede, told him that Zeus had sent him to carry Ganymede to Mount Olympus. And so, climbing up on the eagle's broad back, Ganymede was taken up to Mount Olympus, where he served the gods by bringing them water. Ares, the ram. Athamas, the legendary king of Thessaly, had two children, Phrixus and Helle. He had remarried, and Ino, the children's stepmother, began to treat them very badly. They were treated so cruelly that Hermes took pity on them and sent a magical ram to take them away and escape their stepmother's wrath. Mounted on the ram's back, the children flew over land and sea to the east. Unfortunately, Hell failed to get a good hold on the fleece of the ram, and as they flew over the strait that separates Europe and Asia, she fell off and was drowned in the sea far below. That sea is called Hellespont to this day, in honor of her memory. Phrixus landed safely at Colchis, which is on the edge of the Black Sea. In gratitude of his safe deliverance, Phrixus sacrificed the ram and gave its golden fleece to the king of that country. In honor of the ram's great sacrifice in saving the children, Zeus placed the ram's constellation Aries in the sky. Auriga the Charioteer. The constellation Auriga is mentioned in two ancient stories. The first, relating to a charioteer, is that of Auriga, the crippled son of Vulcan and Minerva, who invented a 4-horse chariot in order to get himself around. This became such an important invention that Zeus placed the first chariot into the skies with the other constellations. The second story, which is the older of the two, referred to Auriga as a gentle shepherd who, after finding one of his pregnant goats missing, went out into the hills and searched until he found her stranded on a rocky ledge with her 2 new kids. Placing her across his shoulders and carrying the 2 kids in his left arm, he returned to the rest of the herd. Some stories relate how the 2 kids commemorate the 2 daughters of the king of Crete who fed and cared for the infant Zeus. Bootes, the bear driver. According to the Greeks, Bootes was pictured as a mighty man. In his right hand he holds a spear, and with his left 2 hunting dogs. Since he appears to be pursuing the Great Bear, Ursa Major, around the North Pole, Bootes was called the Bear Driver. The key star, Arcturus, can be easily found by following the curved line formed by the handle of the Big Dipper outward to the first bright star. Without a doubt, Arcturus was one of the first stars to be named. It was one of the few stars mentioned in the Bible, where it is referred to in the book of Job, thus giving it the name Job's star. Cancer, the crab. According to Greek mythology, Heracles, Zeus's son, was given 12 labors by Hera, Zeus's wife, which would each test his strength and courage. Hera hoped these 12 labors would prove to Zeus that Heracles was unworthy of his love. The second of these 12 labors was to kill the Lenient Hydra, which had a long snake or dragon-like body and 9 heads. If anyone succeeded in cutting off one of its heads, it would grow another one in its place. In order to make sure that Heracles failed at this task, for Hera was very jealous of Zeus's love for Heracles, Hera sent a large crab to grab Heracles by the heel and distract him while he was fighting the Hydra. During the fight with the Hydra, Heracles, who took his nephew Iolaus along, would cut off one of the Hydra's heads, and Iolaus would sear that neck with a torch so that no new head could grow back. Fearing that Heracles might indeed defeat the Hydra, Hera sent in the crab to grab Heracles' foot. However, as the crab grabbed his foot, Heracles stomped down with his other foot and crushed the crab. He then cut the final head of the Hydra off, and Iolaus seared it, thus defeating the Hydra and Hera. To honor Heracles' great victory, and to remind Hera of her failure, Zeus placed the constellation of Cancer the Crab in the sky. Capricorn the Sea Goat. Capricorn is one of the earliest constellations and has passed through the ages virtually unchanged, depicting the front half of a goat and the tail of a fish. It is also referred to in Greek and Roman mythology as the gateway of the gods, through which the souls of men released at death would pass to the life hereafter. According to ancient Greek legends, Cronus was told by the oracle that one day one of his sons would grow to be stronger than he and would eventually kill him in battle. In order to keep this from happening, Cronus had every baby boy born to him as a son killed. Some legends say he would swallow them when they were born. Knowing of this curse, Zeus's mother gave him to some sea nymphs with the instructions to take him to a faraway place where Cronus could not find him and raise him there. However, sea nymphs cannot produce milk, and so they brought a very special goat, Amalthea, to nurse him. As Zeus grew older, Amalthea also became his playmate. One day, Zeus was playing with Amalthea and broke off one of her horns. Zeus took this as a sign that he was supposed to break off his relationship with Amalthea and the sea nymphs and go fight his father Cronus. Zeus gave the horn to the sea nymphs and Amalthea, telling them that as they had always provided for his needs, so now this horn, which was now a magic horn, would also provide all the food and drink they would ever need. Zeus then left them to go and fight Cronus, his cruel father. Zeus defeated Cronus and, according to one legend, as Cronus fell to the ground, his head split open and out stepped the brothers of Zeus that Cronus had swallowed. Zeus was now the king of the gods, and one of his first acts was to place the constellation Capricorn in the heavens in honor of Amalthea and the sea nymphs who had hidden and taken such good care of him. Cassiopeia, Queen of the Night Sky. Queen Cassiopeia, wife of King Cephus and the mother of Andromeda, was a very beautiful woman. She boasted that she was the most beautiful woman in the kingdom. As time went by, she began to say that she was the most beautiful woman in the world. Eventually, her boasting proclaimed that her beauty even exceeded that of the gods. Poseidon, the brother of Zeus and the god of the sea, took great offense at this statement, for he created the most beautiful beings ever in the form of his sea nymphs. In his anger, he created the great sea monster Cetus, also described as a great fish or whale, to ravage the seas, sinking ships, killing sailors, and destroying towns and villages along the seacoast. This created great fear among the people of Cassiopeia's country. In an effort to stop this tremendous destruction, the people went to Poseidon and asked what could be done to stop this monster. Poseidon replied that if Cassiopeia would admit that his sea nymphs were indeed more beautiful than she, he would stop the monster. But Cassiopeia refused. The people asked Poseidon if there were any other way to stop the destruction. He replied that if the beautiful Andromeda, Cassiopeia's only daughter, would be sacrificed to Cetus, the destruction would stop. The people took Andromeda and chained her to a rock which projected out into the sea to be sacrificed to Cetus. However, she was saved by Perseus, and Cetus was turned to stone. Poseidon and his brother Zeus decreed that Cassiopeia be placed in the sky as a constellation, and as punishment for being so conceited about her looks, she would suffer the humiliating position of being upside down in the sky during the fall of the year when her constellation is best seen. Cephus the King. Cephus, the legendary king of Ethiopia, was placed in the night sky just ahead of his wife Cassiopeia, as they rotate around the North Star Polaris. He must have been a weak king, allowing his wife to continually boast of her beauty, and in the end be willing to let Cassiopeia sacrifice their own daughter Andromeda to Cetus the sea monster. Since he did not stop Cassiopeia from her continual boasting of her beauty, Cephus was placed next to her in the sky, where he must listen for all time to her boasting. His constellation was given faint stars, which are somewhat difficult to see. Another story relates that Cephus was one of the Argonauts, the valiant band of heroes that sailed the ship Argo in quest of the Golden Fleece. According to this legend, Cephus was changed into a constellation at his death. Corona Borealis, the Northern Crown. Minos, the second king of Crete, had a great labyrinth built to confine the ferocious Minotaur. The maze was so complex and confusing that even the designer, Daedalus, was almost unable to find his way back to the entrance. Each year, King Minos exacted, as part of his tribute from Athens, 12 of the most handsome or beautiful young people to be placed in the labyrinth as food for the monster. In the third group to be selected was Theseus, king of Athens. Minos' daughter, Ariadne, fell in love with Theseus and offered to help him if he were to take her away with him when he escaped. He agreed. She gave him a ball of magical thread to unwind while he was in the labyrinth, so that when he killed the Minotaur, he could follow the thread and find his way out again. Theseus attacked and killed the terrible monster, and then followed the magical thread and was able to find his way out of the labyrinth. Theseus sailed away from Crete, taking Ariadne with him, and went to the island of Naxos, where he deserted Ariadne and sailed to his home. Ariadne had nowhere to go and was extremely sad when Bacchus, the god of wine and parties, came to her aid. Bacchus had fallen in love with the beautiful Ariadne and treated her with great tenderness. He had a crown made for her with one of the 7 most beautiful jewels to be found mounted in it. Some stories say that there were 7 diamonds. When Ariadne died, Zeus placed her crown in the sky and changed the jewels to 7 stars, which can still be seen today as the constellation Corona Borealis, Ariadne's crown. Cygnus, the Swan. One story based in Greek mythology told of 2 close friends, Cygnus and Phaeton, who were continually competing. One day, they each challenged the other to a race across the sky, around the sun, and back to Earth. In an effort to gain the advantage, they both cut too close to the sun, and their chariots were burned up. They both fell to Earth and were knocked unconscious. Upon recovering, Cygnus began looking for his friend Phaeton, and discovered his body trapped by the roots of a tree at the bottom of the Eridanus River. In an effort to retrieve his friend's body and give it a proper burial, Cygnus repeatedly dove into the river, but could not reach his friend's body. While he sat grieving on the bank of the river, Cygnus begged for Zeus to help him. Zeus replied that if he gave Cygnus the body of a swan, he would be able to dive deeply enough to retrieve his friend's body. However, if Cygnus did take to the body of a swan, he would also be giving up his immortality and would only live as long as a swan would normally live. Cygnus readily agreed to do this in order to retrieve his friend's body and give him a proper burial, allowing his friend's spirit to travel into the afterlife. In honor of this great unselfish act, Zeus placed Cygnus's image, that of a swan, into the night sky. Delphinus, the dolphin. Delphinus is an interesting little constellation in the part of the sky that contains several other sea creatures nearby. Cetus, the sea monster or whale, Pisces, the fish, and Capricorn, the sea goat. Several stories are told to account for this constellation, but the story that seems to be the most prevalent is the one involving the famous lyric poet Iron. Iron, a native of Lesbos, an island in the archipelago, went to Italy with Periander, king of Corinth. While he was there, he became quite famous and quite wealthy. After some time, he decided to return to his home for a visit and boarded a ship going that way. The sailors on the ship, jealous of his talents and hoping to get his great wealth, planned to kill him. When Iron learned of this plot, he asked if he might play a song for them on his lute, a stringed musical instrument much like a guitar, before he was put to death. As he played, the music attracted a number of dolphins to the ship. Iron immediately realized that these dolphins might be able to save him if he were in the sea, for he was surely going to die if he stayed on the ship. So he threw himself overboard into the sea, and one of the dolphins did come to his aid by carrying him safely to shore. When Iron got to the shore, he quickly went to tell King Periander what had happened. The rebellious sailors were ordered executed upon their return to port. To commemorate not only this one act by the dolphins, but the many times dolphins had helped save lives, Zeus placed their constellation Delphinus in the sky. Draco the Dragon. There are several ancient stories which could be about Draco the Dragon, but the one which best seems to fit with Greek mythology is the story about Cadmus and the dragon Phoebus. According to this story, Zeus had stolen the young woman Europa from her home country of Phoenicia. Her father ordered her brother Cadmus to go and search for her and not return until he had found her and brought her back with him. Cadmus wandered over the whole world looking for Europa, but could not find her. He knew he would never find her because no one can find someone that Zeus has hidden. He decided to look for a country in which to build his city Phoebus because he knew he could never return home to Phoenicia. Following Apollo's advice, Cadmus found a suitable site to build his new city. However, while searching for water, Cadmus's attendants were killed by a large dragon. Cadmus went to fight this dragon, and upon finding the dragon in a cave, was able to kill it with his spear. Cadmus was told by Minerva to plant the dragon's teeth in the ground. From these teeth grew warriors who fought each other until only 5 were left. With these 5, Cadmus was able to build his city of Phoebus, and they became its first residents. Because Draco had been so faithful in guarding the caves and their contents, Zeus placed his constellation in the northern sky where, because his constellation never sets, he can guard all the treasures of Zeus. Gemini the Twins. Castor and Pollux were twin brothers, the sons of Zeus and Leda, the wife of Tyndarus, king of Sparta. They sailed with Jason and the Argonauts in search of the Golden Fleece. They were invincible fighters with unparalleled courage. Pollux distinguished himself as a great boxer or fighter, and Castor as a great wrestler. Some stories say Castor was a great horseman. These two were inseparable companions and fought their best when they were near each other. Because of the help they gave their fellow Argonauts during a storm which threatened to sink their ship, the constellation Gemini was considered a favourable sign to sailors when they saw it. To commemorate their great feats and the help they gave to the sailors, and because of their great love for each other, Zeus placed their constellation Gemini in the sky after their deaths. Today, Gemini can be seen between the constellations of Orion and Cancer, near Leo. At this point in the audio, you are likely to be asleep. And as such, I would like to take this time to tell you that you are very much loved, you are very much wanted, and I hope that you are happy and at peace in your life. Please know that no matter how bad things get, I will always be here for you. We may never meet in person, but please understand that I think you are wonderful. You are a very loved person. You deserve amazing things in your life. You are wanted. You are cared for. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. We shall continue these stories in another audio. But for now, sleep well and safe in the knowledge that you are loved, wanted, and cared for.